Hey everybody, Brandon Railway here. Wanted to show you guys an update. As you can see, I've got my power cab here, and it is hooked in directly to the booster. So I'm going to go to the locomotive that's here in the bedroom and turn it on. And then I'm going to show you, using the sounds of the locomotives, what I was able to do as for a extension. So once that locomotive gets completely fired up, you can hear that I have it on and everything. And then you can see that I have two cords plugged in here. And by unplugging, I just shut this off, but my locomotive is still on. That wire I have coming over to a telephone box that was part of my Innovator 3000 system that I was not going to need. Plug in there. And my locomotive is still on. So I now have another place to plug into. Go ahead and shut that one off because it will not, you won't be able to hear it. I then ran a line all the way out here to the living room to a box that is behind my chair, which makes it a little harder to get to. But I can plug my system back in. I'm back on. Turn the locomotive on that's out here. It's on the track. And everything still works. Trying to remember what I had set for shutdown on this one. But regardless, I have 3 places that I can plug in now. Essentially, I can plug in out in the living room, and then I can plug in at the bedroom door, or I can plug straight into the booster via my remote and my flat cable, which is what I'm using because I can't find my coil cable. The only difference is the flat cable is 6 wire, the coil cable is 4, because as I may have explained before, I can't remember, the flat cable is used when you're using your PCP panel because your remote works as your command station. When you're using the smart booster, your smart booster acts as your command station, therefore you don't need the extra 2 wires. So that's why I'm able to use phone line and phone line boxes to control my train, because I don't need those extra 2 wires. I only need the 4 basic wires. And so what I did was this wire here, it is just a basic phone cable. This tannish color wire, it is only 4 wires, literally. And then what I did to jump off of this box, because the gray cable line there is 6 wire, I just wired everything up red to red, blue to blue. Just wired it up the exact same. And I wired it up to the box that's in the living room. And so it's basically like running an electric line. As long as you've got power coming into this box here and you hook up the exact same way, you'll be able to run your feeder line basically anywhere you want to go. And then I'm considering putting in another box out in the living room so I have another place to plug into, because I know this winter I'm going to be moving stuff around. That way I'm closer to the heat and stuff so I can stay warm and everything, but and be away from the windows, because during the winter I don't like being close to windows, but that's neither here nor there. But it just gives me another place to plug in so I don't have to have such a long flat cable dragging on the floor and possibly getting in the way. I could get away with a cable just long enough to reach my chair. I think the flat cable that comes with this is 6 foot. Doesn't really matter. As long as it reaches what I need it to. I can put as many boxes up as I need, because they should be fairly cheap. I don't know what they cost, because like I said, they came with my Innovator 3000 system. And I know I still have 2 more boxes that I could install. And I know I have plenty of wiring to be able to do so. So if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, questions on how to do this, how I wired it up, let me know. I can help you guys out if you're running the same system. Because if you're running with a smart booster, and you're not, or if you're like me and you need a little bit of advice on how to do this, this would be great actually for if you have a big layout. Like in a previous video I've showed you videos from my uncle's layout. This system would be wonderful for his layout, because you would be able to use just one smart booster, which is that, and you could hook up a slave booster or a DB, just a dynamic booster, whatever you want to call it. You could hook that up to it, and then you could daisy chain the telephone lines under your layout and have multiple places to plug in. That way you're not trying to fix the train and then go back to your controller. You wouldn't have to have such a long wire dragging on the ground, because the train will continue to run when you unplug this from your power pack or whatever, as long as you do not unplug the power from the booster, or you do not unplug the booster from the track. As long as you don't unplug that, your train will continue to run. The only difference between this and wireless is that once you unplug this, if something happens, you can't hit the emergency stop button and stop your train. You have to be able to plug back in before you can take control. It's basically like in the movie Unstoppable, for lack of better terms, and to make this long story short. Like the movie Unstoppable, when you unplug this, it's like you're being Dewey and you're jumping off the train. So you want to be a little careful about it, as to not jump off the train and have it go full bore Notch 8 and run into a busload of kids or something. So anyhow, I hope you guys find this video useful and not too annoying, even though I started rambling on there for a minute. But like I said, I wanted to show you guys what I did. That way, if anybody's running the same system I am and they're not, and they're like me, they're not 100% up to date on how all this stuff works, now you know a little bit more. You know what I know. But then, to show you real quick, that's your bus line right there. That's not what I'm plugged into. I'm plugged into the cab controller. There's 2 slots for the cab controller, and that's what you have to be plugged into to be able to run your train. The bus line is basically like if you put a bus line out through your track. you can plug it into that. So anyhow, for now, this is Brandon Railway 6755 signing off.